This is Top 30. Coming up, this baby reveal went terribly wrong. We have tips for staying on budget while holiday shopping, and this massive cow is breaking the internet. Hi there and welcome to the show. I'm Kristin Smith and here are 30 things you need to know right now. Renters beware. New data suggests you're getting far less for a whole lot more. That is, the average size of newly built apartments has fallen to 941 square feet. That's down some 5% from a decade ago. During the same period, the average rent ballooned 28% to $1,944 a month. Studio apartments experienced the brunt of the shrinkage, while the size of two-bedroom apartments remain almost unchanged. According to real estate site Rent Cafe, living habits may be partially to blame for the shifts, as millennials prefer living in locations close to restaurants and entertainment rather than having a large kitchen or living room to cook or entertain at home. Also possible, rising prices simply drove renters towards smaller, more affordable units. But it's not one size fits all. Since 2008, Detroit saw apartments shrink the most, about 27%. This while rents in Denver nearly doubled, up 84%. Of major cities, Rent Cafe found Seattle was home to the smallest units, while Tallahassee gave renters the most space to call home. Now let's go to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with Jerry Willis. Jerry, one city rates its economy higher than any other.
That's right, Kristin. Boulder, Colorado topped the list of cities with the highest economic confidence. This according to a survey of about 2,000 people done by the online job search site Indeed. The survey found that political affiliation, the current national economy, local employment, and personal finances were factors that drove economic confidence. Other top cities included Provo, Utah, San Jose, California, and Ann Arbor, Michigan. Apple is sweetening their trade-in deals to entice people to upgrade to new iPhone models. The new deals can net you anywhere from $150 for an iPhone 6 to $300 for an iPhone 8. Apple was offering around half that for trade-ins last year. And Starbucks has announced a holiday drinking contest for the holiday season. The coffee chain has added the Juniper Latte to its seasonal lineup. Starbucks is also bringing back their annual contest for rewards members, where one of the prizes is 30 years of free coffee. The contest lasts until December 31st.
So what are the other prizes?
Some other contest prizes include a year and 6 months of free coffee.
Good to know. Thanks, Jerry. Time now for the New York Minute with Rosanna Scotto from Fox 5 New York. So, Rosanna, a new survey of New York metro area families should make parents across the country stop and think.
When you hear how many hours kids are on their iPads or phones, you're going to think it's like a job. That's how many hours. So they surveyed about 1,500 parents and teenagers in our area. And what they found was half of 13 to 18-year-olds spend 3 hours or more socializing online daily, and half of the teenagers admit to experiencing bullying online. Just think about this. Steve Jobs, who was one of the co-founders of Apple, he did not want his kids even owning an iPad. So, food for thought.
Right, and what shocked me was 84% of kids ages 3 to 7 with millennial parents have their own cell phone, which my son's 4, my daughter's 2. There's no way they're getting a cell phone until a lot later in life.
You know, a lot of parents, I think, are just nervous about their kids going to school these days, that they're safe, and they feel that phone is a security blanket. Yeah. But we know the kids love to use it for social media.
Exactly. Okay, so moving right along, I hear some vending machines are helping New Yorkers get in the giving spirit.
You are going to love this, Kristin. There are some vending machines set up by the Lincoln Square area in New York City. And you may think that you can go buy like a candy bar or a soda, but you can actually buy a Christmas gift for a stranger in need at these giving machines. It started in Salt Lake City. They raised over $500,000. Now those vending machines are all around the world. And what's wonderful is you can spend anywhere from $3 to $250. You can buy a Christmas dinner for families in our area. You can buy mosquito nets for those in developing countries. Wow. You can actually buy a goat and 2 chickens for somebody around the world.
Wow.
This is the season to give.
Yes, it is. And a lot of times we don't know how to give back. Well, this is the perfect way. Rosanna, always a good time. Thank you so much. All right, some more headlines for you. A U.S. Border Patrol agent's gender reveal went terribly wrong, causing an Arizona wildfire that spread roughly 45,000 acres. Dennis Dickey put an explosive substance in the target, but when it was shot, it burst into a huge ball of flames, immediately setting the shrubby grasslands on fire. Dickey reported the fire right away, but more than 100 people were forced to evacuate, and it caused millions of dollars in damage. He's been ordered to pay restitution totaling more than $8.1 million. And O.J. Simpson's former manager says he didn't act alone when it comes to the infamous murders of Simpson's ex-wife Nicole and her friend Ron Goldman. Norman Pardo worked with Simpson for nearly 20 years following his acquittal and has been working on a series that he says will not only prove Simpson was involved in the deaths, but that he had at least one accomplice. And holy cow, meet Knickers, the giant cow that stands more than 6 feet tall and weighs more than 3,000 pounds. The Australian Holstein is practically double the size of an average cow, and the owner says he's been saved from the slaughterhouse because he's just too big. Well, definitely a win for Knickers. Okay, time now for Royal Watch with our royal commentator, Victoria Arbiter. Victoria, welcome back.
Thank you, Kristin. Great to be with you.
Well, I think everyone is excited for Prince Harry and Meghan to have their baby. Have we heard anything about baby names yet?
Well, on their recent tour to the Southern Hemisphere, the couple were inundated with baby name suggestions, but royals tend to stick to fairly traditional names they pulled from the family tree, continuing names generation to generation. But on a recent visit to Australia House in London, grandfather-to-be Prince Charles joked that something slightly more modern may be in the offing. Given the pregnancy news broke down under, Charles suggested that Kylie or Shane might make the shortlist. Kylie Minogue has long been considered a pop princess, and Australian cricketer Shane Warne is considered veritable royalty amongst his countrymen, so you never know.
And I just wouldn't be surprised if they went outside the box a bit. It seems like their style. Now, Prince William and Kate are jumping full force into Christmas.
They are. They're definitely celebrating the festive season earlier than usual this year. Kensington Palace announced that the couple plans to honour 7,500 military personnel that are going to be separated from their families over the holiday season. First of all, they're going to throw a party in London for families that are missing their loved ones this Christmas. And the following day, the couple are going to fly to Cyprus, where they'll meet with military personnel stationed at an RAF base there. Christmas seems like a perfect opportunity to thank them for their service.
Yeah, that's really great. Victoria, thanks so much for the royal news, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Kristin.
All right, moving right along. Don't get mad at me, but I'm going to talk about coffee again. And no, I'm not asking you to give it up. Yes, it tastes great, and yes, you're energized, but is it good for you? Well, an article in the HuffPost talks about how to choose your go-to brew without the backlash from your body. Let's start with caffeine. 2 shots of espresso contains about 150 milligrams of caffeine. A 16-ounce cup of coffee holds 330. A 16-ounce cold brew, about 200 milligrams. And a 16-ounce nitro brew has about 325 milligrams. So if caffeine helps you or hurts you, pick a drink with more or less, respectively. Now, if coffee makes your stomach hurt, it may be the acid, so opt for a French roast or other dark roasted coffees instead. But if neither of these explain your situation, it may be all the fancy stuff you're adding to your coffee. You've seen those long Starbucks orders with 17 pumps of this and all these different milks. Well, more milk can mean more acidity, more pumps of sugar can mean more weight gain, and more MCT oil can mean indigestion. And finally, if coffee in general just isn't working for you, try matcha or chicory root. These alternatives can still give you that calm alertness you're looking for. And still ahead, electric pickup trucks are here. And an amazing story, a paralyzed bride walks down the aisle. Don't go anywhere, Top 30, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Danielle Knox from Fox 35 Orlando has what you need to know today. So, Danielle, new research says not all types of sugar are created equal.
Well, Kristin, researchers at Toronto University in Canada say soda is far worse for you than foods containing natural sugar. Researchers conducted a study to determine how different sugary foods affect blood glucose levels. They found soda had much more harmful effects on participants' glucose levels than foods containing natural sugar like fruit and, say, honey. According to the American Heart Association, men should have no more than 37 grams of added sugar a day. That number drops, though, to 25 for women. Might be easier said than done here, but a new study says that you should at least try to keep your toddler in their crib until the age of 3. Researchers at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia surveyed nearly 2,000 parents and caregivers with kids ages 18 to 36 months old. Now, they found toddlers who stayed in their cribs longer had less resistance at bedtime, as well as fewer night wakings and longer sleep duration. And check out this robot that feeds you. Armadine. It's a robot arm worn in the middle of the chest that picks food up and feeds it to you and to your dinner guests. The arm can sense positive and negative facial expressions. If you smile, it's going to feed you. If you frown, it's going to stop feeding you. And that's what you need to know. Kristin, a robotic feeding arm. Well, that might give new moms and dads a break. Hey, with all that round-the-clock feeding, that may not be such a bad idea.
Well, that's definitely one way to market it. Thanks, Danielle. And now to a really inspiring story. 23-year-old Allie Grizzard was paralyzed in a horrific car accident 3 years ago. Her spine was shattered, and she spent 7.5 months in the hospital. And through it all, her boyfriend Amos stuck with her. Amos ended up proposing, and Allie made it her mission to walk down the aisle.
The night that we got engaged, I actually texted my therapist. I had sent him a picture. And it was like, "Are you ready to train me to walk down the aisle?" And he was like, "Yes, let's do it."
Allie walked 50 feet down the aisle with her father and stepfather by her side. She said, "It was my very first time walking on grass and uphill, and it was really tough. It was a struggle, but I made it down the aisle. It happened. I was determined." Allie continues to work daily on regaining her strength and independence, and she hopes her walk down the aisle is an inspiration to others. I don't think anyone can watch the determination on her face and not be inspired. Just an incredible story. Now time for this week's Page 6 Fix. The Weeknd may not be able to feel his face, but that didn't stop a lot of fans from trying to get their hands on him. Elizabeth Wagmeister has the details. Hi, Elizabeth.
Well, Kristin, I guess they really love The Weeknd in the Middle East. While performing at a sold-out concert in Abu Dhabi, the singer ended the show early after fans broke the gates and started storming toward the stage. The Weeknd's girlfriend Bella Hadid was also there, hid in the sand dunes on the ATVs in the Arabian desert. And I think Rihanna just landed on Santa's naughty list. The good girl gone bad posed topless on social media for her Fenty holiday campaign, but fans went berserk when Chris Brown liked and commented on it with 2 flush-faced emojis. And I bet Cher wishes she could turn back time. The singer became too emotional and walked out of a performance of the Cher show on Broadway before intermission. Our sources say she was surprised by some of the changes they made without her approval. And that's this week's Page 6 Fix. See you next time.
Thanks, Elizabeth. For the latest news and gossip, make sure you watch Page 6 TV. Check your local listings. Listen up, if you're ready to take your cooking and baking to the next level, today's Top 30 steal is for you. We have a red copper 4-piece pan set at a special 54% discount. This set comes with a 10-inch square pan, a 12-inch square pan, and 2 brownie bonanza pans. The innovative square pans are made with non-stick ceramic and infused with copper. They're perfect for frying and searing. The durable non-stick coating makes your food slide right out of the pan. They require little to no oil and they won't scratch. You can even cut your meat and veggies inside the pan. And these brownie pans are not your old tired cake pans. They make baking so much easier. You get 18 perfectly portioned brownies every time, and they come out so easily. The red copper 4-piece pan set retails for as much as $85, but today you can buy it for just $39. That's a 54% discount. And you can get this right now at morningsave.com while they last. Welcome back to Top 30. Americans are spending big this holiday season. A survey by the National Retail Federation found the average person will drop over $1,000 on gifts, which can put a strain on any budget. So joining us now with some tips for smart holiday shopping is financial expert and the New York Times bestselling author of Rich Bee, Nicole Lapin. Nicole, it's always great to have you here.
So great to see you.
So I have a long list of people to shop for, and I always go overboard, so I'm dying to know what you recommend.
So many friends.
I have so many friends.
You have to make a list. Girl, it's good enough for Santa, it's good enough for us. First of all, just write down exactly who you're getting stuff for, exactly what you can spend on them before you go shopping and before you go shopping online.
So I will say there's a lot of sales. I feel like there are more sales this year than ever before. Every year it gets worse. It's so tempting. So how do you not overdo it?
because your email inbox has probably exploded now, right? A sale for this, half off this, and it's like so tempting. So either create a separate email account just for the shopping that you're doing. So all the sale emails go there. So if you need something, you know where to find it. Or unsubscribe from the ones you really don't need so you're not overwhelmed and tempted. Definitely put those online shopping blinders on.
Okay, and then sometimes when you find the perfect thing, you know, for that person who's hard to shop for especially, but it's over your budget, what do you do?
You're usually tempted to just do it because you're such a softie and you're a sweetheart and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to the store and I have, you know, $20 for my friend, but I saw something that's $25. So I say send money. You can send with an app like Zelle, and then you can write a note that's personalized and say, hey, this is for your favorite pumpkin spice latte, or whatever it is personalized to them. You know, there's a recent study that shows almost 60% of people prefer money for the holidays. And like, how many times have we been regifting? So just give people what they want, and then you stay exactly on budget.
Always great information. All right, here's a cool story. A new company is making a luxury pickup that goes off-road, and it's all electric. The Rivian R1T will make its public debut at this week's LA Auto Show. It's the first vehicle from the Michigan-based company. Rivian says the truck goes from 0 to 60 in just 3 seconds, numbers similar to high-end sports cars. But because it's a truck, the R1T can also tow 11,000 pounds and go off-road. Inside, there's seating for 5 and a 15.5-inch touchscreen in the middle of the dash. In addition to the truck bed, there's storage up front where most trucks need to put an engine, and in a side tunnel behind the passengers. The range will be anywhere from 230 miles to over 400, depending on what battery option the truck is ordered with. Pricing starts at $61,500 after federal tax credits. The company hopes to make deliveries in 2020, but is accepting pre-orders right now. All right, moving on. First, he went on TV and begged for his family's safe return. Now, Chris Watts has been sentenced to life without parole for the murders of his pregnant wife and 2 daughters. With more on the Watts case, we're joined by Law and Crime Network host Jesse Weber. So, Jesse, Watts is now behind bars, but we're learning some more very twisted details.
Yeah, thousands of discovery documents were just released, and we are learning a little bit more about Watts' relationship with his wife, Shanann, and his mistress, Nicole Kessinger. So Shanann for a while was suspecting that he was having an affair, but he kept on denying it and denying it. In fact, in one instance, he had said that he was at a Colorado Rockies game when in reality, he was with Kessinger, and Shanann ultimately found that out based upon the credit card transaction. And then if you move on to the woman that he was having an affair with, you know what happened? She, if you look at her, sending all of these explicit text messages and photos to him. She's doing online searches for wedding dresses. She was under the impression that Chris and Shanann were in the midst of a divorce. In reality, that wasn't happening. Shanann was trying to do whatever she could to save her marriage. And then, in one of the most startling things we learned, he was misrepresenting to Nicole about whether or not Shanann was pregnant. He says that he only found out about the pregnancy on the day that she disappeared, but she was 15 weeks pregnant. So you're seeing this cycle of lies and deception, and he was deceiving 2 women at the exact same time.
Jeez Louise, this is such a heart-wrenching case. Even the judge called it the most inhumane and vicious crime he'd ever handled. So Jesse, what's next?
We just found out that the parents of Shanann have filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Chris Watts. And they are saying that they want to be compensated in maybe even over $100,000 for everything from funeral expenses to the loss of income from Shanann's job to also continued and permanent emotional distress. They are also suing on behalf of Nico, that unborn baby. They're saying that this is an unlawful termination and they can sue under that. It's a question of whether or not he even has the finances to pay that judgment. But this is a big, big development in this case.
Well, we'll see what happens. Jesse, thank you so much. For more on the Watts case and others 24/7, head to lawandcrime.com. Top 30, we'll be right back. Welcome back. This one is for all the ladies out there. One of the most stressful times in the morning is getting dressed and picking that outfit, right? We think we had something in mind, but maybe we wore that one already, or maybe we wore something that looks like it already. Well, the good news is you're not alone, but the bad news is almost 50% of women stress out or are self-conscious about repeating their outfits at work, and social media doesn't help. In fact, social media plays such a big part in killing outfits that we're seeing many many rental clothing companies pop up where you can have outfits sent to you, wear them, and then send them back. The survey done by Thrive Global found that more than 29% say they spent over $500 on work clothes in the last 6 months. Men face some different expectations. While they're not facing this kind of pressure, they are expected to have just a few quality suits to cycle through. But that's okay, ladies. Fashion icon Diane von Furstenberg says repeating outfits isn't a bad thing for us. In fact, it shows a strong sense of style, so own it. And that's it for today's show. Thanks for watching. Here's what's coming up on the next Top 30. Many Americans are buying gift cards for the holidays, and they'll want to hear about a potential scam. Plus, your road trip could be a lot more relaxing in a self-driving hotel room on wheels. And we'll try on an iconic hat worn by Playboy founder Hugh Hefner. You can also listen to the day's biggest stories on the Top 30 podcast. It's all coming up on the next Top 30.